Hello everyone, we're here today with Niall, who works for the Irish Government's Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine. Niall is an agricultural inspector within the Nitrates and Biodiversity division, and he is currently in charge of biodiversity policy within the division. So Niall, thanks a million for agreeing to do an interview for the Nuffield virtual GFP, and I suppose we'll start off by asking you, you know, you have a long history in helping Irish farmers get interested in biodiversity. You might, you know, touch base on some of your past work experience to date, and as well as that, you might actually just give us a quick rundown on where does Irish Government or Department of Agriculture biodiversity policy come from. So thanks a million, Niall.
Thanks very much, Robbie, and good evening. I suppose just from the outset, I would like to say, like, the Department of Agriculture fully recognise the critical role of farmers in protecting biodiversity. And I suppose in relation to the biodiversity policy, most of our policy, I suppose, comes from the EU, and the majority of it would have come from the Common Agricultural Policy. So those strategies are all about the promotion of biodiversity, reducing inputs on farms. So we must be, I suppose, take cognizant of those as we design our schemes going forward. We also, I suppose, as well as the current GLAS scheme, which is our Agri-Environmental Scheme, where we had 49,600 odd farmers participating, and many of the measures they were delivering were for biodiversity. And we have a number of locally led projects and European Innovation Partnership projects. 23 of those, and about 17 of those, or 18, had a biodiversity focus. As well as that, our department are involved in, I suppose, the All-Ireland Pollinator Plan, and we're on a steering group and a stakeholder there. And that plan is all about the promotion of pollinators throughout the island of Ireland. And we have a number of a section in that plan all around farmland and how to help pollinators on farmland. And we support, again, with the National Parks and Wildlife Service, the Farming for Nature initiative, which is a non-profit group that's involved in the promotion of farmland biodiversity. And we also have announced a new agri-environmental pilot scheme called the Results-Based Agri-Environmental Pilot, and that also is around supporting biodiversity. So our department are involved in a lot of initiatives to support biodiversity.
It's great to see so much involvement and support from your own department within the Irish Government on that. And I suppose I was going to ask you, you know, in your own experience and from your own sort of knowledge, why should farmers and general society, you know, citizens of the planet in general, be concerned about biodiversity, and what can we, you know, the benefits to protecting and enhancing it? So just some of your own thoughts on that, Niall, please.
Yeah, well, look, I suppose biodiversity underpins all forms of life, and losing biodiversity means that we're going to lose vital services that society depends on. And there's a term for these services called ecosystem services. So these are the services that nature provides to the human kind. And these services are free. And people, like, we all expect the wind will blow, the rain will fall, the sun will shine. Do you know, we all expect these things, but these are the services that nature providing. And the biodiversity is vital in all of these services. For example, like, just take pollination, for example, from our bees and our butterflies and moths, etc. Like, it is estimated in Ireland alone that pollination services are worth 53 million euros. So the work of the pollinators in Ireland are worth 53 million euros. Like, in Ireland, we're on the periphery of Europe, and we only have 99 species of bee, and one of them is the honeybee, and the rest of them are wild bees. So, like, just for example, if all these pollinators disappear, well, who's going to pollinate our crops? Like, someone will have to be employed to go around to start pollinating crops. So like, that's one example. So these are all these services that nature's providing. They're also, like, in terms of the soil, and we have somewhere in the region of 25 or 30% of biodiversity in the world is in the soil. But all these are working in it's like a little factory of workers. And the soil biodiversity is all about recycling of nutrients, producing, the soil then itself can clean water. It can produce healthy, I suppose, nutritious food that keeps us, I suppose, the human beings, alive and with nutritious food. It also, like, is involved in carbon capture and carbon storage, like, and I suppose from a business point of view, like, there's a terminology being used out there for nature, and it's called natural capital. And we're going to hear an awful lot more about natural capital as we move on, because natural capital is really, I suppose, it's putting a name on, I suppose, what nature, what are the provisions of nature, and then the services they provide. So it's hugely important then that, people get a full understanding of the importance of biodiversity and and the role of biodiversity in these ecosystem services to ensure, like, that all the food and all the services that we have from nature will continue to be provided for generations to come.
No, brilliant, Niall, and thanks a million for that. It was a great intro for our day because it ties in. We've people come from the National Biodiversity Data Centre to speak to us, some of the farmers involved in those EIP projects you spoke about, and I know the department's been strongly supportive of those through deciding on some of the projects and allocating the funding. And I know from the local Irish people in Nuffield that know anything about you, Niall, they know that you've been a great servant to Irish farmers over the last few years, and you're definitely passionate and very caring about both farmers making a living and managing to protect and enhance the whole area around nature and biodiversity. So thanks a million for that, and again, thanks for taking the time out to give us a great interview, Niall. So Gora Maihagat, and we'll see you sometime in the future. Thanks, Niall.
Thank you, Robbie.